Don't get me wrong, for the price, this is an amazing bike. This video is made not to discourage you from buying one, it's just little details I personally don't like that I observed in the first months of riding it. But if you are still considering buying this bike, then probably that's the video where you can get to know what the actual owner of this bike can say something negative about it. And then decide whether it's a deal breaker for you or you can live with these negative things. Starting with actually starting the bike. For some reason it's so long. I mean, normally you turn on the key and wait for maybe 2 to 3 seconds for everything on your dashboard to flash and then you just start your bike. But here it's a bit long. Actually long enough to feel a bit weird at first because you may think that something is wrong with your bike. But no, it's all fine. It just takes longer than usual to have that classic flash on the dashboard. Can you turn it on immediately after turning the key without waiting for the system checks? I don't know. I'm not that famous yet to test it for you and see if it brings any harm to the bike. But if you are like me and prefer the system to completely turn on after making the internal checks, then probably that's not the bike you would enjoy during zombie apocalypses. Second thing I don't like, which for some might look cool, is the key being on the side of the motorcycle. And not going to lie, it really looks cool because it's not like majority of other bikes. But what if you crushed it? Or it just slipped out of your hand, or you're a complete newbie with awful balance? Yeah, that key is going to snap underneath the weight of that bike. Obviously there is a solution to this, which is don't crash, or at least if you do, crash it on the other side. But I think crashing your bike or crashing on a specific side is not always something you can control. Speaking of the key position, the next negative thing is also related to the lock. You probably know how you would turn your key in the same lock where you start your bike all the way to the left or to the right, depending on your bike, to lock your steering. Well, here there is a separate lock for that. So basically when you want to lock your bike, you have to take the key out of the ignition lock and lock it with the separate one located behind the headlight. Might not be the biggest inconvenience for you yet, but trust me, you will find yourself from time to time starting the bike and only then realizing you forgot to unlock the steering wheel, so you have to turn the bike off, remove the key, put it into separate lock, unlock it, and then start your bike again. I don't know about you, but looks like a pretty negative point to me. Next one is kind of related to keys again. So normally to pop up your seat to get access to small storage for documents or battery and so on, you will turn your key in one of the locks so the seat will pop up, allowing you to access whatever space you have underneath it. Yeah, not with this one. With CF Moto you have to unlock this little guy here with an Allen key, which will allow you to remove the passenger seat. So once you remove the passenger seat, you get access to 2 other little guys here that you need to unscrew, luckily with the same Allen key. And only then you can finally remove the driver's seat and access the battery. Some small storage place and, drumroll, some tools including Allen key inside the small patch. That's just evil. So required to open 3 bolts with an Allen key, with the Allen key itself being accessible only after you remove these 3 bolts with an Allen key. That is again is freaking accessible only after you remove these seats. I can go forever like this. So yeah, if you want to use it to store some paperwork, then hope police officer who will stop you will be patient enough. Oh, and hopefully will have an Allen key in his pocket. Next negative thing to talk about is the application CF Moto kindly offers us to download to experience some cool things, such as turning the bike on or off with the smartphone, sharing the key with other people, tracking your bike, and some other cool features that, drumroll, are freaking not working because you need additional device installed called T-Box that will give you the access to all of these features. So basically this app is useless because wherever you press, you'll just get a message saying that you need a T-Box to use it. Unless you get that T-Box, I guess the only useful way to keep this app that it gives you the VIN number of your bike, which is engraved all over your bike anyways, or get access to the digital version of owner's manual that you should get in paper version as well. I mean, smartphone app is something you can avoid using. We all survived without smartphone apps for our bikes so far. But what about the digital display of the bike? That is for sure something you are going to use. Really hope. First thing that I guess is more like an intention of the dealership is that the language was set to Chinese from the beginning, which is not in the list of languages I know to the level where I can find the settings that will help me to change it. So after scrolling and clicking on each item of the menu, I found it on the second line from the end, which gives you only 3 options, which are Chinese, English, or Spanish. I also tried to use the QR code to connect my phone, but 3 different phones I tried didn't recognize the QR code, and I didn't find any specific scanner on the CFmoto app to scan it. You would assume it's a nice digital monitor, so you can probably enjoy some flexibility. Yeah, sorry, no flexibility. You can't change the background, you can't reposition the icons. The only thing you can be flexible with is the line underneath the clock, where you can set it to show trip length, battery, odometer, and some other generic stuff. Not a huge deal breaker for me, but I really hope they can give us more flexibility with future updates. I really hope there are future updates. Last one related to the system is the fact that the turn lights are not self-canceling. I mean, if this is your first bike or your previous bike had the same type of turn signals where you press it to the right, let's say, you make the turn and then you have to manually cancel it, then nothing will change for you. But if you are used to self-canceling ones, probably you'll need to get used to manual off button after finishing your turn. I mean, the bike is cheap, but still would have been nice to have that feature, especially paired with the digital screen. Next 3 negative points are all related to the design of this bike. Don't get me wrong again, absolutely beautiful bike, but what the hell is this gap for? I mean, what was the idea behind this? Is there something CFmoto will sell us in the future that will fill this gap? I don't know, but for now, every time I see it, just can't get it out of my brain. In general, visible bolts of this bike are looking pretty good. Bigger ones are covered behind these rubber cups, smaller ones are painted black, and I think it's pretty good looking and cheap way to hide ugly looking bolts. Right? Right, CFmoto? Come on, was it that expensive to add 2 more covers for these 2 bolts? What makes it even worse is that they are not even painted black, so it's just a silver thingy you notice at first, thinking that something might have fell from these holes, but no, it's just CFmoto trying to keep the price 5 cents cheaper than with 2 additional covers. And the last one in this list is this jar of piss, oil level on the steering wheel. I mean, I get it why it's there, so we can see the level of the oil, maybe color of it, but why make it so ugly? Why not use something more hidden like they did with the cooling liquid? Or something similar to what Yamaha did on XSR 900. We could have used this space for mounting the smartphone, because the central part of steering wheel is not an option, as it will block the speedometer. I don't know about you, but the more I look at it, the uglier it gets. Listen, there are enough videos on YouTube that will talk about this bike, but this was a bit different from the actual owner and not just someone who borrowed it for a review. So hopefully I didn't scare you too much from buying this bike. Still happy that I got it, and if I survive the winter on the type of roads I'm driving, the type of drivers I'm encountering every day, then I'll probably do another video somewhere in the summer with more stuff to say about this bike. Thanks for watching, and I don't care if you like or subscribe, just hope it was useful for someone.